For latest astrology videos, subscribe AstroEdify channel and press this bell icon to get notified when a new video goes live.
Hello everybody, welcome to AstroEdify. Today we are going to talk about Rahu in Scorpio and Ketu in Taurus, what kind of results they can bring when they are sitting in these zodiac signs. I have already made a detailed video on what Rahu and Ketu are, and in that video I have described various aspects that how from astronomical perspective Rahu and Ketu are calculated. Then from the point of view of astrology, mythology, philosophy and psychology, how they impact our lives, what do they represent and signify in depth, that I have discussed in that video. You can watch that video in the card section above, and the link is also available in the description below. So let's start this video. If you want to book a consultation for yourself, you can go on this website. The link is given in the description. So we are going to talk about Rahu and Ketu in Scorpio and Taurus. Now, this is a quite vulnerable sign for both these planets because Rahu and Ketu in Scorpio and Taurus are considered to be debilitated. I know there is a huge point of conflict among people, and there is a difference of opinion that people think that Rahu and Ketu are debilitated in Sagittarius and Gemini respectively. But the answer is no. Rahu is, the Sagittarius and Gemini is not a good sign for them, but they are debilitated in Scorpio and Taurus. Maharishi Parashar also described them to be debilitated in Scorpio and Taurus. However, the logical reason behind that, which I am going to give here, is that see that Rahu is the planet of, is a shadow planet which represents illusion, ignorance, and hence in Sagittarius is a sign of law, order, knowledge, wisdom, higher learning. So the thing here is that it is no doubt a bad and enemy sign for Rahu, because Rahu is ignorance, Sagittarius is knowledge. Knowledge destroys ignorance. Knowledge destroys the illusion and makes you realize the true reality. However, Scorpio shows Scorpio actually is not the knowledge part, it is the application of the knowledge. What you have studied, what you have learned, what you have understood in your life so far, whether you put it to implementation or not. Person can have a lot of knowledge, but there can be a thing that they might not apply it at all. So no matter how much learned I am, if I am not applying it, applying an ounce of knowledge what I have, my knowledge is of utter waste. So the thing here is that Scorpio is termed as sadhana, austerity, deep discipline, changing the things, transformations in life, and actual experience of self-realization. The self-realization, the Atmabodh, who you really are, that is controlled by Scorpio, Aquarius and Pisces. 3 zodiac signs govern that, but mainly Scorpio and Pisces. Scorpio is the sign which represent sadhana, means continuous dedicated practice, prarabdha, your all past life karmas, and cessation of the past life karmas, and death. Death does not mean the physical death. It shows physical death, but death of your ego. That is Scorpio. Sagittarius does not give death of ego. Sagittarius is a fiery sign. It is ruled by Jupiter. So it can show that, yeah, it can bring jnana, it can bring knowledge, but it cannot bring experience. Scorpio is the literal experience which makes you realize who you really are, which actually destroys the illusion which Rahu creates. That is why Rahu is debilitated there. And Scorpio is ruled by whom? Ketu. Ketu is not the planet of knowledge and logic and wisdom. Ketu is a planet of Purva Janma Karma, death and destruction and moksha, liberation, mumukshutva, which is called as deep desire for liberation. That is what Ketu is. So Scorpio is the debilitation sign for Rahu. Similarly for Ketu. Ketu is debilitated in Taurus because Taurus is the zodiac sign for materialism. It is the Maya which is around you all the time. And Ketu is a planet of what you can say extreme detachment. It does not have any connection of Maya at all. It rejects Maya completely. It rejects materialism. So Ketu is moksha, liberation, self-realization. That is what it is. So in Taurus, Ketu becomes debilitated because Taurus is the zodiac sign of material world. not in Gemini, because Gemini is a sign of commerce. Now remember, Taurus is money itself, Lakshmi itself. Gemini is the sign of commerce, the movement and flow of the money. If money is not there, what the hell you are going to move? So the thing here is that Gemini controls the movement of the money and transportation and communication, which is necessary for sustenance and survival of the Maya. But if Maya is itself not there, what is going to be existing then? What you are going to move around? What you are going to do the transaction of? So Taurus is the main thing, which is literally the material world around you. The not only the money, wealth, luxuries, pleasures, your own ego, your body. Taurus represents a food intake, everything which which gives you temptation, attraction. That is what Taurus is. The desires, that is what Taurus is. And Ketu does not pay heed to any of those things. So Ketu is considered debilitated in Taurus, not in Gemini. Gemini is no doubt a negative sign for Ketu, but I have given my own reason here and try to explain with logic. Later on, it's your opinion what you want to pay heed to. But I have described here with the sufficient logic, and I will also suggest that I have asked you to watch the video of Rahu and Ketu, which I have already made. If you watch that, you will come to a better understanding why Rahu and Ketu are debilitated in Scorpio and Taurus and not in Sagittarius and Gemini. Now let's move ahead and talk about the main thing, that there are 4 cases which we are going to take today. First is, if Rahu is stronger than Ketu, then what kind of results can be seen? And second is, if Ketu is stronger than Rahu, then what kind of results can be seen? And in each of these 2 categories, 2 sub-cases will be there. If Rahu is stronger than Ketu, then if Rahu is well placed, what will be the results? Badly placed, what will be the results? Similarly for Ketu, if Ketu is stronger than Rahu, Ketu is strong, what kind of results? Ketu weak and bad, what kind of results? So total 4 cases will be dealt with today in this discussion. So let's start with the first one. We will talk about Rahu if it is stronger than Ketu. I have already discussed in the video which I have requested you to watch, that you have to see whenever you are analyzing Rahu Ketu axis, these planets, they depend on other planets. They don't have their individual identity. So it is quite tricky to analyze them. So they are dependent on the planet with whom they are sitting, in the zodiac sign of which they are sitting, as well as in the nakshatra of the planet which they are sitting. So you have to analyze all together in combination. And apart from that, you have to see which planet is stronger than the other. So if Rahu is stronger than Ketu, then Rahu will dominate this axis and the result will be controlled by Rahu. If Ketu is stronger than Rahu, then Ketu will dominate the axis and results will be controlled by Ketu. Now we will take the first case, Rahu is stronger than Ketu. Now in this first sub case, if Mars, Moon and Lagna Lord are well placed, then Ketu will receive support from Rahu will receive support from Mars, and it will be considered strong. It will not be considered entirely bad, even though this sign is vulnerable for Rahu. But if Mars, Moon and Lagna Lord, ascendant Lord, are suitably placed and giving support and strength to Rahu, it can bring quite good results in this placement as well. Now what are those results? It can make person logical, scientific, rational, skeptical, secretive, intuitive, mysterious, curious, analytical, research oriented. Person can have a peculiar, unusual way of thinking and seeing and doing the things, because Rahu can show, it can bring a deeper insight, a conceptual thinking, a pattern seeking ability. It's like things which other people are not able to see, but you can deduce the patterns in them. That kind of seeing the big picture attitude, that can be seen in this case. And it shows Rahu's obsession. If it is well placed, what it shows is that it can bring some kind of passion, some kind of obsession in a positive sense towards any subject, towards anything in life, which is constructive, not destructive. So it shows deep passion and obsession towards things and subjects in life, which are something worthwhile to pursue, that kind of thing, which is not negative at all. Next point, it can make introvert. Person can be introvert, but it depends on other planets as well, how the other planets are. But if Rahu is dominating, then yes, in this case, it can make person introvert. Rahu can make person clever, intelligent, is smart, person who is a keen observer, innovative, and as I mentioned, uh, that it brings a ability to see the things behind the scenes, that kind of thing. And Rahu brings some level of confusion and fickleness, particularly in the initial stages of life, but later on it brings major personality transformations, where you can get proper clarity, mental clarity, and that confusion and fickleness subsides. That can be seen. Then Rahu also can make person driven towards learning of hidden, exclusive, and important knowledge. It can be in any subject. It can be in astrology, science, literature, any subject whatsoever. But Rahu makes person or gives person this kind of attitude where you are more curious to learn things which are hidden, which most people don't know, which are exclusive, which are really important, but other people are not interested in it, that kind of thing. So Rahu can bring that kind of element in the personality. Then Rahu is in the sign of Scorpio ruled by Mars and Ketu, so it brings good risk-taking capability, not merely just having a lot of thoughts and doing nothing. It gives person courage. Mars is courage. So Rahu enhances that courage to take some risk. If you think that you have some capability to pursue something, Rahu will promote that you should follow your passion rather than just overthinking and not doing anything in a fear that maybe you will fail. That thing is not given by Rahu if it is well placed. If it is badly placed, then the result will be altogether different. But as I mentioned, Rahu generates less fear here and more courage here if it is well placed and receiving support from Mars. Although it can make person somewhat nervous sometimes, that is common. But that excessive fear, excessive confusion, excessive panic and anxiety, that won't be seen. That will be altogether aspect which Rahu does not bring if Mars is giving support to it. Next thing, it makes person somewhat unorthodox, rebellious, and stubborn in beliefs. Whatever you believe in, whatever your thinkings are, it can be somewhat different from society or unconventional. And the reason is simple, because Rahu is a planet of logic, reason, analysis. It does not accept something just like that. It needs proof, it needs evidence, it needs some logical, scientific backing behind that. So that is why this kind of mentality can be seen by Rahu. Also, it can make person open and broad-minded. Sometimes to a greater extent where people in society can consider your thinkings and behavior as taboo. But the good point here is that Rahu can also make person who is not seeking out social validation. They do not care what other people think. So that kind of thing can also be seen by Rahu if it is well placed, because you are more self-confident rather than seeing yourself from the other people's eyes, rather than judging your own self from other people's judgments. You are going to be more self-introspective. You are going to be more self-aware that this is who I am, even though there are some points which are good and bad within you. But Rahu gives that kind of self-analysis that you are able to understand this is who I am, rather than somebody else telling me this is who you are. So that kind of thing is also a quite good result of Rahu which is seen here. Then Rahu makes person, if it is receiving support, makes person goal oriented. But confusion will be there. You will not come to decisions easily. But if you come to decision, you can stick to them. That kind of thing. Then it brings the emotional imbalance. Because Rahu and Scorpio are both represent extremes, extremities. So emotional imbalance can be seen. Either very less emotions are there, or very high emotions are there, or poor emotional expression can be seen. Either you are not expressing anything, or you are expressing all the things all together at once. So that kind of thing. Then Rahu here generates high lust in the body and sexual desire as well, because Rahu and Scorpio and Mars, they represent lust and sexual desire in the body. Next point here is that it brings existential crisis and angst. Whether it is well placed or badly placed, this will be the result given by Rahu in Scorpio, no matter the situation, that it brings existential crisis. If it is strong, and receiving support, and Kundali, the horoscope, has good spiritual yogas, then the person is able to deal and handle with that existential crisis and is able to have a positive transformation of his personality. That will be the excellent thing which can be promoted and given by Rahu. But if it is bad, then I will discuss later the results. It gives a negative personality transformation and makes person quite harsh. But if I'm talking about the good Rahu characteristics right now. Now, if good spiritual yogas are present in the chart, then this placement of Rahu is considered excellent for occult science, Jyotish, Tantra, meditation, Jnana Yoga, Vairagya means bringing detachment, sadhana, because this is, why detachment? Because Scorpio is ruled by Ketu, and Ketu is a sign of a controller of detachment. If Rahu is supportive in Scorpio, it can enhance that Vairagya, because Rahu expands things. And now it is, instead of expanding the deep desire for material things and heavy temptations and endless wishes, Rahu is going to increase the Vairagya, the detachment within the person. It can show serious inclination towards sadhana, samadhi, atmabodh means self-realization, and moksha. And the best example of this placement of Rahu is Swami Vivekananda. Swami Vivekananda had this particular alignment of Rahu in Scorpio, Ketu in Taurus on his 6th, 12th axis. Rahu was in 12th house, Ketu was in 6th house. He's the best example for well-placed Rahu in Scorpio. So you might see that Rahu in Scorpio is not entirely bad. If it is receiving support, it has capability to bring excellent results in life. But you have to analyze the chart. That is what is the most important thing to do. Now we will talk about the second subcase, that if Mars, Moon and Lagna Lord are badly placed and they are not getting, Rahu is not getting any support from them, then what will happen? Rahu will become extremely negative and it will have propensity and affinity to bring lot of negative results. It depends on the chart. Now there are many things which I am going to discuss, but before moving ahead, I just want to give a warning here that do not jump to immediate conclusions without any analysis of a whole chart altogether. Because as I already mentioned, the analysis of Rahu and Ketu is extremely difficult because they don't have individual identity. So if you are jumping to conclusions right away that okay, my Rahu is debilitated, I'm destroyed, my life is altogether, it's going to be having a lot of problems. It's not the case always. As I mentioned, good Rahu characteristics I told you, but you have to understand that negative characteristics are possible. I will tell all the results, and it depends on the chart how much negative aspects can be seen. It varies from person to person, that you have to look for. So if Rahu is negatively placed in the chart, means it does not have any support from Mars, Moon and Lagna Lord, and they are also not well placed. Rahu is afflicted, sitting in bad houses, making negative combinations, malefic doshas, then it can bring extremely negative results. What kind of those things can be? First of all, it can increase lust, anger, greed, jealousy, ego, means and attachment, all kind of shadripu, 6 enemies of man. So these can increase in the personality. Then it can make person corrupt, because Rahu is corruption, adharma, that is what Rahu is. So corruption, person can can be manipulative, liar, harsh, sadist, cunning, deceitful, highly selfish, conspiring, backstabber, crab mentality can be seen. You can be very mean, two-faced, bitter, resentful, hatred is always present within you, harshness, and arrogance, inferiority or superiority complex is there. Then extremely, either person is very extremely fearful, mostly fearful or confused, and it can bring all sorts of mental and psychological disorder, all sorts, from small to large, everything with respect to mental and psychological problems can be given by Rahu in this particular alignment. Then it can show excessive lethargy, procrastination. You don't want to do anything, seeking shortcuts, have a lot of desires, but do not want to go for hard work. and it gives poor self-confidence, academic problems, and person who is seeking too much societal validation. This is a contrasting result from the previous case. So seeking too much societal validation, it can also show biased, distorted, prejudiced, judgmental, hateful thinking, like people who believe in hoax, and conspiracy thinkings, that kind of thing. Then it can bring negative obsession and negative passion, which can harm somebody, that kind of thing. Then, as I said, that Rahu will bring existential crisis, but in this case, person can move towards the negative side, means utter meaninglessness, depression, what you can say, morbid thoughts, suicidal thoughts, death anxiety, no mental peace whatsoever, high level of insecurity and vulnerability, no satisfaction, no happiness. That kind of thing can be given by Rahu, and it can bring addictions of all kinds, addictions of all kinds. Scorpio is a sign of sexuality, so Rahu can bring sexual confusion about your sexual orientation. That can also be seen, or it can bring sexual perversions or wild, dark sexual fantasies which are considered extremely harmful, that kind of thing. So, and with this particular Rahu, we can see people who can be sociopaths, psychopaths, criminals, insane, people who are into all kind of illegal practices, drugs, human trafficking, prostitution, other things. So the thing here is that these are extremely negative results of Rahu. But again, I will mention, do not jump to conclusion. Treat it as a source of information, nothing more than that. You have to analyze the entire chart to come to a conclusion. And these results, I'm just talking about all the things possible for a particular alignment. That's all. Next point, if it is impacting the health of somebody, Rahu can bring STDs, all kind of infections, urinary and reproductive problems, spinal cord problems, incurable genetic diseases or congenital problems, accident, injuries, surgeries, GI or colorectal issues. Rahu in this case also brings a problem like you have issues, but your problem is not even diagnosed. So misdiagnosis, incorrect diagnosis, or no diagnosis of problem at all is done, or wrong treatment is given, and sudden death. That can also be seen, but that depends on the chart. That depends on the placement of Rahu. You just have to analyze the chart. So, okay. Then if it can impact the relationship and marriage, if it is associated with marriage and relationship in the chart and it is bad, then we can say that there can be no trust, no commitment, other affairs, cheating, lies, secrets, manipulation, control, possessiveness, divorce, separation, violent relationships, selfish ulterior motives, marrying for money and other luxuries and wealth and power and position, and no emotional connection whatsoever. And it can also show sudden rise and permanent downfall with a bad name and legacy if it is not well placed in the chart. Remember that. So these are no doubt all the harsh and worst possible results of Rahu, and you might be thinking that it's quite fearful to know these things. But see, as I mentioned, just take it as a source of information, nothing more than that. If you and don't jump to conclusions. If you analyze the chart, then you will come to some proper conclusion. Otherwise, just listen to it, know about it, and nothing more than that. That's all. Now we are going to talk about Ketu. Now the second case here is that if Ketu is stronger than Rahu, what kind of results can be seen? So if Ketu is stronger than Rahu, and the first subcase is if Ketu is well placed, means it is receiving support from Venus, Moon and Lagna Lord. So Venus, Moon and Lagna Lord are well placed, giving support to Ketu, and Ketu is stronger than Rahu. Then it can show that it can bring quite good material progress. People think that, okay, Ketu is bad for material progress. The answer is no. If it is well placed in Taurus, Ketu can bring good material progress in life. It can make person wealthy. It can give you money, good career, position, wealth, luxuries, fulfillment of desires, house, car, good food, good clothes, status, name, etc. All these things which are considered to be the parameter of material success, they can be given by Ketu entirely. In this placement, it is fully possible for Ketu to bring these kind of results if it is well placed in the chart. Then the only thing is that you have to see other combinations. You have to see 2nd and 11th lord also, and the 10th lord also, that how because they are the houses of money and wealth. So how they are placed. If they are well placed, Ketu can bring good growth in material terms. However, Ketu shows one constant result, that is Ketu is a planet of material detachment. So no matter how much you accomplish in your material life, how much successful you become, it will bring inner emptiness. It will bring inner dissatisfaction, no matter what, and inability to feel contentment from material world. That will be seen, because the thing here is that Ketu makes person realize that, or it forces the person to realize that materialism can never give peace and satisfaction on an internal scale, no matter how much successful you become, how much wealthy you become. And hence, gradually, person has to transcend towards the spirituality, because who is sitting in front of Ketu? Rahu in Scorpio. If Ketu is good, Rahu will also be supportive, because Scorpio is ruled by Ketu as well. So what happens here is that Ketu brings material progress and success in order to make you realize that it is not the answer for happiness which you are looking for. It gives you all the thing in order to realize that that is not the answer for happiness. So that is how it works. It makes a person to look into yourself, self-introspection, and transcend towards the path of spiritual life and liberation. That is how it works in this placement. Now, Ketu is good for occult science, philosophy, asking the big questions of life and searching the answers for them, and to implement them practically to change your own life. That is why he said that is the difference between Sagittarius, Gemini, because Sagittarius, Gemini means a lot of knowledge and intelligence and logic is there, but the practical application may not be there. A person can be learned, but he might not apply any of those things which he teaches. So the thing here is that what matters is teaching, application of teaching. What you have learned so far, whether you apply it or not. If you are not able to apply what you have learned, your knowledge is of no use. So Ketu and Rahu are considered to be very well placed, if they are strong, to implement the things which you have understood and practically change your life and transform. This does not happen if Ketu is bad. Remember that. If it is good, then only it will happen. And if good spiritual combinations are there in the chart, good spiritual yogas are there in the chart, then Ketu can bring true vairagya, actual detachment. It's like a person, even he has a lot of things in life, but he is not attached to them. He is not in fear of losing them, living in fear of losing them. That won't be there. And it brings detachment and loss of things related to the house where Ketu is sitting. It can be seen with respect to the house. Like for 4th house, it can be the home, mother, marriage, and 7th house is marriage, like that. So you have to see that detachment from those things can be seen where Ketu is sitting. Now, Taurus is also the sign of family, natural 2nd house. So it can show lack of affection from family or family member, because Ketu is again detachment, isolation, separation. So it can show that lack of affection can be seen from family member, or related to the house where Ketu is sitting. Then Ketu is considered good for bringing the natural skill and knowledge and resources in this case, because Ketu is what? Purva Janma Karma. What you have already done in past lives, the knowledge, the things which you have already learned, which you already know, that is what Ketu is. So it can bring the natural skill, knowledge and resources of the things related to the house. But this happens if other planets are well placed. It does not happen in all the cases. If other planets are fine, it can show that a person has some eligibility to learn and know things, then Ketu can bring those kind of things. Then Taurus is a creative sign. So if Moon, Venus, Mercury, 3rd, 5th, 7th house, they are well placed, it can show good creativity, arts and aesthetics. Person can seek the essence of beauty in things, not merely physical and material attraction, that kind of thing. So it can be music, arts, writing, poetry, anything. So Ketu is good for those things as well. So these are results of well placed Ketu in Taurus. Now we will talk about the last case, where if Venus, Moon and Lagna Lord are not well placed, badly placed, making bad combinations, and Ketu is Taurus, it will be debilitated. And if it is afflicted by other planets, sitting in bad houses, making malefic yogas, then Ketu will bring extreme negative results. Again, I will say, treat it as a source of information. Don't jump to conclusions. Now, point here is that if Ketu is not well placed, negative in the chart, then it has capability to bring negative results. Lot of things like bad, abusive, hurtful speech, which can ruin your relations with family or any other person, huh? Or related to the house where Ketu is sitting. Let's suppose it is in third house, it can show siblings and friends. In seventh house, it can show your wife and your people in society. So like that. Then if Ketu is bad, then here Rahu will also be functioning mostly negative, because Scorpio is ruled by Mars as well as Ketu. Then what will happen, that all the results which I already discussed of negative Rahu, they will also be seen. All the results which I have already discussed of negative Rahu. So negative Rahu, why? Because as I mentioned, Rahu will be functioning in a malefic position if Ketu is not receiving support in this case. So all the results of negative Rahu will also prevail or come into life if Ketu is badly placed in this situation. So we have discussed in detail today that what kind of results can be seen if Ketu and Rahu are in Taurus and Scorpio, and why they are considered debilitated in this particular zodiac sign. The reason I have given you, and we have dealt with all kind of categories and cases. It is not always the case that they are always going to bring bad results. They have full capability to bring extremely good results as well. You just have to see the chart, how they are functioning in the horoscope. So I think you would have understood a lot of things in detail today. I think that's all from my side today. In the next video, we will talk about further zodiac sign placements of Rahu and Ketu. If you are new to my channel, subscribe below for more. Check on my website and Facebook page and Instagram. Their links are provided in the description. Otherwise, we will meet in the next video. Till then, goodbye and thank you.